I just got back from Die My Love, the latest from Lynn Ramsay, and I usually reserve the walk out of the theater and down the hall and out of the theater and down the escalator as a time where I collect my thoughts and really try and digest the movie I just saw. This time was not like other walks because this walk was completely washed in fellow moviegoers ripping the movie to shreds. For a few minutes, I got people wondering what the hell they just saw. I stopped in the restroom and came out and picked up another group laughing about how silly it was, and then outside caught another group wondering why they stayed. It has been a long time since I left the theater with people talking about a movie like this, and it made me wonder if this was getting bad reviews. I literally walked in knowing nothing about this movie other than Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson were in it. So I didn't know how it was being received or the box office or anything. So I thought I would listen to the big picture on the way home since they talked about it this week. And I was kind of surprised to hear the glowing praise and the Jennifer Lawrence Oscar talk. I go look at Rotten Tomatoes and it's 77% certified fresh with critics and 48% rotten with users. This is the love it or hate it movie of the year. Yet here I am saying there is a lot of good with this movie. Unfortunately, most of it is completely lost and all the things that just didn't work at all. Come with me as I go through the good, the bad, or perhaps the love and the die of this movie. Let me give you a shorthand describing my mental state at various points of the running time. The first scene has me on high alert that I'm going to need to pay attention to details. And as we progress, the imaginary and the disjointed narrative had me working overtime trying to keep it all together in my head. By the time we were at 30 minutes in, I am done trying to hold all this information because the movie doesn't seem to want to use any of it to process telling a story. So I stopped caring to try and figure it out. By 1 hour in, I don't think anything means anything in the grand scheme of things. It's just a mess, and I wonder if there is anything that can happen in the remaining minutes that really turns the whole thing out of the skid and makes all the symbolism and choices make sense. Of course, that doesn't happen, and we collectively stare at the credits and wonder why. The first 5 minutes are the most important. If you waste it, you end up clawing back the audience the rest of the movie, and if you have another dud scene, you lose them completely. I heard Lynn Ramsay describe what she was thinking with the opening scene, and I completely and totally understand where she is coming from. The perspective is always the outside and never the inside out. Great thought. The slow push on the camera, like time is moving forward, very thoughtful. A house once full of life is now a vacant shell, foreshadowing grace. But where is the meat? Why do I know nothing about all these people? Why aren't I being let in at all? Something I hear a lot from people when they think they have a movie idea is, do you think this movie could work? A romantic comedy about naked mole rats or a biopic on Jim from the sanitation department. I say the same thing. If it's good enough, you can do anything you want. If people like it, if you make them laugh, if it makes them cry, I don't care how you got there. If it works, it works. The opening scene doesn't work, and nothing else matters because it doesn't work. The worst part is it's followed by CGI of a forest fire that looks like AI. Not because I think it's AI, but the quality is of a level that you would see from AI. And if the quality isn't good enough, it doesn't belong in the movie. This is not even a slight on the VFX artists because they might not have had enough time or resources or a million other reasons why a clip looks unfinished. It's the director's job to okay the shot, and you can't look at that and say people are going to be convinced we lit Montana on fire. You might be saying you're spending an awful lot of time talking about one bad CG. Why is this such a big deal? It's a big deal because it was in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's the most important real estate. No one is going to visit your steakhouse if the exterior design is vacant building with boarded up windows. This is the equivalent of going down 3 minutes into the game. In the end, that's your fault that happened. I was waiting for it to end after a while. I was holding on for a good ending. I didn't happen, but it's not the worst thing in the world because I didn't think it had a brilliant surprise saved up for us at the very end. The only saving grace is that the ending didn't make it all worse, like Magnolia. If it started raining frogs at the end, my brain would have just shut off and I would have started getting into random fistfights with people around the theater. And I don't think I'd be alone, given the commentary on the way out. There was a greater than 0% chance that room could have turned into a Royal Rumble with an exceptionally bad ending. Speaking of wrestling, I would like to share something my brother said to me once when I was watching wrestling that ended up being about character, and it has turned over in my mind ever since. I was pointing at the TV and explaining to him that Wrestler X was the new bad guy, and my brother said simply, "I don't like him." And I said, "Yeah, that's the point. He's the bad guy. You're not supposed to like him." And he tells me it's not that. It's that he doesn't care about the character because they are not engaging enough for him to care. If I don't want to watch him, it doesn't matter what he does. I thought about that a lot watching Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson in this movie because from a talent and performance standpoint, you can see they are working. They're showing up and laying it all out there for this movie, but the characters in the story are not developed in a way that allows the audience in. I understand the postpartum themes and how the disjointed nature is intentional because Grace is having a mental health breakdown. But to me, it doesn't feel like I know who these people are at all, and that lack of connection keeps me from connecting to their struggles. I've heard a lot of chatter about a Jennifer Lawrence in terms of an Oscar nom, and from an ability and execution standpoint, I think she is deserving, but I would find it hard to believe that she breaks into what is expected to be a very crowded field with a movie this polarizing. Polarizing not in the subject matter or anything specific, but polarizing like I seem to only hear I like it or hate it, and the middle ground for this movie seems non-existent. Robert Pattinson is given even less to work with, and is largely absent from long stretches of the film, but he too is out there putting in the time. The passion from both of them to do this well is clear, but what it was never particularly clear. The thing is, this movie has Lakeith Stanfield, Sissy Spacek, Nick Nolte in it. Lakeith Stanfield doesn't just take every job offered to him, and when determining if he wants to do something, I imagine he starts with some version of, so why this movie? Everyone asks why they should be doing this movie, from the top to the bottom, and whoever brings you in needs a compelling answer to that question. Without it, no one would invest in the movie. No one would sign on to be a part of it. So what was it? Why this movie? Why now? Why are we doing it like this? Why is this important? Whatever that answer is, if you do your job right, when you ask people after they see the movie what it is about, it shouldn't stray too far from what was told to Lakeith before they filmed a frame. I have no idea how I would answer that, and I just wish I knew the filmmakers and producers think the answer would be. They had almost 2 hours to tell me, and I'm still not sure. The thing that really digs at me is that I can see inside this movie is a really great film, but the difference between disappointing and a really great film can be the end result of many small choices along the way. Just think about the journey this took. It was a book published in Spanish that portrayed an unsettling look at motherhood, but found audiences all over the world. One reader was Martin Scorsese, who had it in a book club and told Jennifer Lawrence she should play the lead, and that led to her company buying the movie rights. All that sounds like Hollywood to me. But now you translate something that resonates on a page from the perspective of a character to a movie where we must be a fly on the wall. Tens of thousands of choices will begin in this moment. You get on the set, it's the same thing. Editing after that. I am sympathetic to this. I want every movie to be great. Sometimes it was a decision and sometimes it was circumstances, but in the end it was a series of choices. I would also like to remind everyone that I am just sharing my opinion as a filmmaker who likes to talk about films to people who might want to make them, so you are welcome to disagree with me. I'm just sharing my thoughts. I was looking at the Goodreads for the book, and I saw this one quote. I've been needing the loo since lunch. It's impossible to do anything other than be a mother. Enough already with the crying. He cries and cries and cries. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm a mother, full stop, and I regret it, but I can't say that. Who would I say it to? That's powerful. And I can see how we got the movie we ended up with from lines like that, and how we think we are providing the best version of this book in cinematic form. The problem is that we actually need that line and we don't have it. The dialogue in the movie is not written as well as the book reads, even in snippets. Jennifer Lawrence needs to say things out loud to another person, at the very least, or in voiceover, like a roving narrator. Apparently, there is not much of a story in the book either, but passages like that indicate it was good enough to overcome that in a way that the movie cannot. Another thing I had trouble with is a lot of the choices with the camera. I know we are an experimental film, but there needs to be a line between the things we do for narrative reasons and the things we do for experiment. If I am confused from a narrative standpoint, I start to wonder if experimental choices are trying to tell me something that I am not getting from a proper story. I didn't like shooting night scenes in the day and just turning down the contrast. I just don't see why we can't shoot at night. The whole wide shot, the first wide shot with the daylight clouds and a night looking frame was really cool, but it only works once. And when we have characters shown with sun shadows and it's supposed to be dark, it makes no sense. Is it a choice that it happens that it doesn't make sense? Does it mean something that people have sun shadows at night? Which brings us back to the idea that you can do anything if you do it well. And this movie has good elements, but nothing other than potential. Because if you see the movie, where's the scene you can bring up in conversation later? There isn't one. There isn't a standout scene. What about a memorable line? No, not that either. This is why I constantly talk about how hard movies are. Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson are really going for it, and the camera is doing something extra, and everyone there on set knows the movie backwards and forwards. There were people in Village talking about how good this movie is going to be. And in the end, it doesn't work. When you're out there on set, you aren't thinking about how the least informed people who will see this movie will react to it. Because there are levels to this. But how much you can bring the bottom up, the better you will be received. There are people who love Jennifer Lawrence, who love Robert Pattinson, who love Lynn Ramsay, who read the book before the movie was announced and had early preview tickets on Thursday. Then there are people like me who walked in right before the movie started, knowing only the leads and nothing else. We as a group probably didn't have a good time. The problem is there are a lot more people in the second camp over the first. So you can make a good movie without a story or traditional dialogue or shared cinematic language or an opening 5 minutes, but everything else better be exceptional or else it's not going to work. This was okay, so it didn't work. You know what else happens to be stuck in Montana? The Leaderboard. This movie is tough because I do genuinely enjoy what Jennifer Lawrence is doing, even though I can't explain it all to you. I like Robert Pattinson, even though his character isn't really put in a position to be likable. If I had to give Die My Love a rating, I would give it a 4.3. It's really fucked up that it's so low because there are a lot of irredeemable movies in that part of the list, yet I feel there is a gem in this dirt. If you did a Skunkworks production and the same cast and crew go off with a different script, different director, a different approach, I think that other movie could be Oscar nominated. There are enough pieces here. If you stay conservative and make a normal, straight down the middle movie, the floor is high, but the ceiling is low. If you paint outside the lines and off the page and into the middle of the street, the floor is the floor and the ceiling is unlimited. But every hit you take with the audience makes you fall from the top so much faster. That's why, despite best efforts here and there, this movie has found itself in the basement. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry I haven't been as active. My daughter has been doing this thing out of nowhere where we only get 2 hours of sleep for the past month, and the reviews had to take a short pause. I actually tried to do a review for Smashing Machine, but it was taking me so long to write, I felt like I was losing my grip on my memory about it and had to bail. I'm hoping with heavy award season time, I will be on my groove here for the rest of the year, but I appreciate all of you who subscribe and like and comment and all the great things that make you you. Have a great one. and I'll see you next time.